Islam, Noble.
Peace, Noble. What's going on?
You know, another day in the trials of this Morris science.
Word.
Yeah, I'm saying, I know a lot of folks have some questions out there. So as usual, you know, you the go-to man right now.
Islam.
Word on the street is you got the juice. You know what I mean? I don't know how
or
many
the
people...
tea, or the Moroccan tea.
Yeah, sipping on some fine Moroccan tea down here downtown Hollywood. You know what I mean? That's how we do it.
Indeed.
But you know, I know a lot of folks got some questions, you know, and about this Trump and the Kanye situation. Let's try to explain the similarity between the time frame of what the hell is really going on.
Okay, great question, Noble. Peace to all Moors, undeclared and declared. Peace to all human families of the planet Earth. Peace to all melanated people, no matter where you at. The Kanye thing is very interesting. One thing you gotta understand is that Kanye is like the torpedo dude for presidential candidates and stuff. People don't realize that when he did that George Bush don't like black people thing, it really put a spiral into a lot of the plans, and a lot of stuff that they had planned up from that got messed up. We don't know that, but it got messed up real bad in their situation. So a lot of the stuff was about bringing him back in to be handled. Another interesting thing is that K-A-N-Y-E is just like T-R-U-M-P. Both of them is Geminis, right? Kanye is a Gemini with a moon in Pisces. So he has a heavy mania with his ego. Trump is a Gemini with a moon in Sagittarius. That means he's a egomaniac. So one is an egomaniac, one has a manic ego, right? So in that, the combination of them both being Geminis represent the crossing, right? So they're both mirror versions of themselves. He tried to show you that in that famous video that he did where he put them all in the same bed. We had Ray J, him, Trump, Martha Stewart, whoever else in the bed with him. That was to show you literally that they all sleep in the same bed, meaning that they all in the same gang, meaning that they all have sex with the same people, meaning that there's really no difference between what is happening in the fiction, right, than what's happening with the reality. And the reality is Trump is a fire dog, whereas Kanye is a fire snake, right? Now, snakes have a very peculiar connection to Moors in the sense that the snake represent the Kundalini Shakti, right? They represent the fiery serpent going up the spinal column into the higher cerebral aspects of the brain. It's Rose.
That good hookah.
It's that good hookah. It's that Rose hookah. Long story short, in him being a fire snake, that means that he is more akin to bringing out energy. Also, in the gematria, for people that know what gematria is what they claim to be a Hebrew way of breaking down mystical properties through the numerical variations and how they interplay through names and numbers, right? So it's another way of form of numerology to a degree, but it's about using the cipher of letters and numbers. Gematria was made possible or made popular by a guy named Aleister Crowley, who was under the name Agent 666 in MI5 intelligence. He also was there to be the great beast to create this whole ritual religion that they have of we're good right now. Ritual religion that they have for creating things like the sexual rituals and all that stuff when they was jumping into the crowd and pissing in the crowd, and all that stuff came from Aleister Crowley. So all that stuff you see them rock stars doing, the blood and burning stuff on the stage, all of that was ritual stuff they got from him.
Even the symbol where they throw up the finger thing.
When they throw up the joint like that, they say is the Baphomet, is the devil horn and all that. All of that started or came onto the scene, made it hot. That was Crowley.
Word.
So all these pseudo black Nazi Freemasonic Crowleyites all fall into that jurisdiction. So Kanye, being that he's skirting the edge of trying to be real, but then knowing that he sold out, but then being a genius, right? But then also being around a bunch of people that feed off of genius. So again, as the Gemini, he's in the constant perpetual state. This is the Twin Towers. You understand what I'm saying? All in effect again. So what they wanted to do was stop him from doing the George Bush on Trump. So they stepped to him early. So when you heard Trump say that how he loved Kanye when they asked him about him, that was the first round that was the first warning. Like, I'm saying I love you, because remember, everything in statecraft is the opposite of what you say. So if you say that he loved Kanye, he's really saying that he hates him. You understand what I'm saying? Because now he's not speaking as Donald Trump, the individual, the private citizen. He's speaking as Donald Trump, the corporate shill, who is going to function as the new face for the imperialism of the decaying government of the United States.
Boom.
So in that was a threat. So in that threat, right after he did that, that's when Kim Kardashian crib got robbed, remember? They came out with that.
Yep.
We got robbed, but he wasn't there. Then, when he did the concert where he was just forcibly removed, right? What people don't understand is that happened 9 years to the day that his mother was assassinated. So he's dealing with a lot. The other thing too, they got him on heavy when he went through the thing with his moms and all of that. They put him, instead of letting him grieve naturally, they never let you grieve naturally anymore. So what they do is they put you on a pill. So they put him on this thing called Lexapro. And Lexapro is very, very, one of the side effects is that it enhances mania. So whatever mania you have is going to be exacerbated when you're on that. So that's why he be so crazy, sporadic, outside of him being a Gemini, outside of him being an egomaniac and all of that. And if you have to understand, man, you watching somebody whose life ended when his mother died. So whatever you want to say about him and however you want to get crazy or whatever, I'm not saying he's crazy. I'm not saying he's a good man or bad man. What I'm saying is you dealing with somebody that never got a chance to actually grieve for what happened to him. You understand? Because nobody let him do that. So, being that he's on the pills, they can use that as a means to keep him under control. So 9 months, what I think is that the psychic inhibitors that they put into him function on a 9-year basis. And now that he's going into this 9th, 10th year, this thing, it's now all starting to fracture. And remember, they also said that he was going to run for president in 2020. Remember, they said all of that. So a lot of this is actually really them creating a ritualistic, sacrificial position for, if they need to, putting Kanye in the exact attribute of that. Because they both Geminis, they both got they both Geminis, they're both in heavy positions, they both have heavily aspected southern node energy. So anytime you got a heavy aspected southern jurisdictional node in your chart or stuff like that, that means that you have a outwardly mean to be heard. It means you'll say and do anything to stay in the minds and everything of the people.
Gemini.
You dig what I'm saying?
Okay.
So they both on that.
Yeah.
So really you're seeing the mirror opposite of one another. So Trump is to what white people is what Kanye would be if Kanye was president. So the same way people feel about Trump and all of that, if Kanye was actually president right now, it would be the same type of thing, just reversed with the white people. Speaking of which, the American Nazi Party that allegedly back in the days, which I believe is true, have a non-aggression pact treaty with the KKK, with the NOI. They have agreed to come out in numbers to about 2 million to escort their new Führer into position, so that way, because they don't want what happened when George Bush came in. See, George Bush is German too, but George Bush is a German Jew. This guy is German. You know what I'm saying? He's not a crypto Jew. So this now makes it like a descendant of Hitler is coming in for them. So they have mythologized this guy to be this now. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
in that, he is fulfilling this I don't want to say prophecy, because they're not really dealing in prophecy. They're dealing with more made up prophecy. They're dealing with more circumstantial events made to look real. So he's putting himself in a position to be what they need him to be. So he may not be a racist. That's the thing. When you look at some of his chart and some of the things he say, I'm not saying he's not, and I'm not co-signing him. What I'm saying is he may not be an aberrant racist based on how we understand racist to be. He will be whatever these crackers or these so-called white WIGHC people want him to be to fulfill their agenda of universal race war and white supremacy, or what Charles Manson referred to as helter-skelter. This is all functioning into that. Remember I was telling you the snakes, that snakes have a heavy thing in Moorish culture. We were known as the snakes. So when they talk about the story about the snakes being kicked out of Ireland and all that, when you read the book by David McRitchie called Ancient and Modern Britons, as well as some of the other books, Sex and Race by J.A. Rogers, as well as some of the real books about the true leprechauns, the Twas, who were in Ireland and places like that. They talk about how St. Patrick was there to kick the snakes out of Ireland, but the snakes represented the Moors, who kept Ireland as a part of the Old Dominion. And St. Patrick, who represented the Templar situation, was one of the people, or used, peace my brother, Islam, he was one of the people who came out to create a space to import all of the Caucasian, phenotypically Caucasian people slaves that was now being imported in by those Moors. He was trying to free them. To the point where I brought this, because I went to the store the other day, the library the other day with my son, put some books back, and I found this book. This is one of the books. And the book is called The Last Snake in Ireland. Now the thing about it is when the Moors was deposed and kicked out of places like Ireland, Southern Wales, and those places, they went back to wherever they had dominions. And in one of the passages in the book, it says that. It says, forgive me, I don't have my glasses. Here it is. Or not the light too. Basically, it says that, and St. Patrick took the snakes and made sure they never stayed in Ireland again. And these snakes, who had family in other places, wound up leaving and coming back to the shores of Europe, Africa, and America. This is a children's book about the so-called snakes of Ireland. And whenever you see the Nemes crown of the Moors in Egypt, they always had the snake serpent in the front, right?
Word up.
Just like me, I got the joint on. You can't really see it.
Sorry, you finished it? I can take something or no?
Yes, you can take this. Can you wrap this up for me to go?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Just falafel or everything?
Everything. And can you
Okay.
separate it so that
Yes,
way it's
of
not
course.
together? And some more pita
Okay.
to go as well.
French fries
Yeah,
to go
let's take
to?
it all. Yeah.
To go to. Yeah?
Thank you.
Islam.
Islam. So this is what I'm saying. Like, they created a movement where now they've been making children's book over the year. This ain't new. I'm just using this as an example. In 2016, how they subliminally show you how they depose your people and put them in zoomorphic imagery, like snakes, or like the Avatar creatures, or like the X-Men, or like any other group that's persecuted that have special powers that everybody else don't got, so they hate on them. So I'm saying all that to say that, remember, Kanye is a fire snake. You see what I'm saying? And so the fire snake is such that the energy of the fire snake is to move along the land and then pop out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what he do. That's how he get down. Remember, he did the BET joint where he was at the top of the volcano? You see what I'm saying? These type of images, and he was in all red. That's when he had the big Heru joint on, remember?
True indeed.
All of this is symbology, because once you get down with them people, you become the archetype of whatever the gematria denotes. So in their religion, Trump, right, when you do the gematria on it, one of the first words that come up is victor. See what I'm saying? One another word that comes up is election. Another word that comes up is associated with it is before I get into that, when you bust it all down, his number busts down to 87.
15.
Islam. Bust down to 87. 87 busts down in gematria to words like Muslim, or words like control, You know what I mean? Words like fear, hate. So all of these things. Kanye busts down in 65. See what I'm saying? So all of this is how they run their society. So this is not to say that I necessarily believe in that. I'm just telling the people that they have created their own version of Morris science that revolves in this way. Excuse me. Thank you. It's all good. They don't really know that. You can just leave it and then we'll come back.
We almost done. We almost done.
See what I'm saying? So eventually it comes to a position where we have to understand that we are what we say we are. And for some reason, this is another thing I was thinking about today. With this Trump thing, it's forcing everybody to kind of get to a point where they got to accept who or what they really are. Because after he get in, that's really it. According to him, he said, if we win, it's over. So the it that they're talking about is the present version of what we understand the United States to be. So this whole race war that was predicted by Charles Manson and other people in that ilk is all coming in the form of this version of what they have called Helter Skelter. Lastly, another thing I wanted to do to knowledge was what this meeting of the minds, meaning the present outgoing system and this new ingoing system now is now created what they call blowback. In the statecraft thing, blowback is when you've done things on a covert way in the past that are now coming back to bite you in the public arena. So in that, this guy Trump is about to go to court for the pedestry charges. We talked about that before. He also was going in for the Trump University debacle where all of them people paid that money and never got any degrees or nothing that they could actually use in real life. So this is who, again, the United States, the people in the United States have chosen for their president. So what that says is that they would rather anybody so long as it's not a melanated person. So this is the line that they've drawn in the sand for themselves, not for me, not for you, not for anybody who practices group economics or have their own centralized government or is on their way to do that. You ain't got to worry about certain things like that because he's all about private industry. So if you're functioning on a private circuit, you ain't got to worry about people coming with jackboots and all of that.
Islam.
The other thing you got to understand is that there's a concerted effort to get you to deny your indigenous heritage and the fact that you have to be associated with coming from somewhere else. But due to knowledge to this, they don't never go to a person from, wow, look at that, that's a Young Circle 7 yep. On the bus. Young 7 Young Circle.
Wow.
So in the knowledge of that, you don't ever see an African person walking down the street and they walk past a dark-skinned Indian person and they don't ever go to that person and say, you know, you're African, you're really from Africa. They don't never go to people in the Philippines and go to them people and say, you know that you're really from Africa, you're not Filipino. They don't never go to people in Malaysia or Cambodia or Ethiopia or whatever and go telling people, you know that you're African. They don't ever go to people in southern China and northern China, the dark-skinned Moors that live out there and tell them, you know that you're African. You know, the only people that they try to always impose that to is so-called blacks born in America. Why?
Negroes, blacks, colors.
Why? Why you ain't going to the Filipino telling him he Filipino American or African Filipino or whatever? Why is it that you always trying to force me to adopt an identity of a place that I've never been? Not that I'm against the cultural, historical, genetic, right, principle energy that comes from that. I'm not against that. What I'm against is the unnecessary label of trying to associate me with a people who I have been taught were the ones who enslaved me first before the white man. But if the white man didn't do it the way that they said, then that means that they didn't do it like that either. So why are they acting like they were the ones that was enslaving us when they know most of us was already here? When you ask an African where he from, he don't say Africa, he say Senegal or Mozambique or Djibouti or Burkina Faso or whatever. First thing when you ask the so-called black man undeclared or declared here is the first thing, but where your people from? My people from here. Nobody ever came to me that was born here and asked me what part of Africa I was from. Nobody. So what that says to me is that I have an distinct identity here as an Almoricanos, right? So the term America don't exist, but it exists in the quasi abstraction that has coalesced itself in the term United States of America. So when I say America, that's the English word for the real Moorish word Almoricanos. But most people don't speak Old Mograben. Everybody's had a brother come up to me the other day, said, well, if you were Moor, whatever, how come you speak Arabic? Because Arabic was also one of the languages of the conquerors. My people spoke Mograben or Murabic and wrote Kufic and what they call hieroglyph and Metuneter and Sanskrit and all that type of stuff. Do you speak Sanskrit? You know what I'm saying? Like, I had another Moroccan dude who was like, well, if you guys are offering the Maghreb al-Aqsa, so you was never forced to speak the French. That's right. That's why we're not even supposed to even be speaking that. Because that was the language of the indigenous language. That was a Romance language. Just like German and everything else. But guess what? The Moors was in Germany. The Moors was all over the place. So what I'm saying is that we have a perpetual state that we can occupy that is distinctly ours. That means that we can handle our own affairs outside of any of this. We're not even supposed to even be totally public like that. But if Moors want to do that, they can do that. Just make sure that you have a private constituency in the base that functions through. One of the great books you could check on that, if you didn't have it already, get this book by a much slept on author, Sultan Abdul Latif. I told people I would get books. Get this book tell you all about how Moors was here in America and all that.
Word.
Right? But nobody talk about him because he probably not on the tape. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Another good book.
Dig deep, God.
I always mention this brother. Get this, the Consecrated Talisman, the Solomon Gundi. Get that if you ain't got it already. Anything with Prince Uriel Bey, you need to absorb crazily. A lot of Moors hate on him because he was with Dr. York at one time and this and that, but he didn't die like that. That Moor got it where we actually got real currency with the proper face right now, called it the lire, that you could basically exchange for gold and silver in London and Japan. But ain't no Moors talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Because he ain't put on no apron. He ain't pledged no nothing to do it. He just did it because Allah put the spirit of the truth in him. So just because Muslims are Islamic the way that they do their thing don't necessarily mean me as a Muslim have to do it like that. Because I have a distinct way of how I choose to worship and how I choose to be based upon what was left for me by my ancient forefathers. That made it so that way I wouldn't have to circumvent who I really am and subordinate myself to one of these religions that grew up after me. So inshallah, if anybody want to holler at me, hit me up at houseofel@hotmail.com. I know in the last video I said I was going to talk about marginal leveraging, but we'll get into that in the next joint. This is just a real thing. So again, pray for the brother Kanye. Also, Nick Cannon, you out here wearing fezzes and all that. That's dope, man. But yo, get it together, man. Like, get with a real temple. Get with some real Moors that's not going to BS you and get you on some that. Also, Yasin Bey, congratulations for being able to leave South Africa, but because they got you listed as an undesirable, that's really whack, man. That goes against your status and all that. So if you want to get it cleaned up, holla at me, man. houseofel@hotmail.com. You know we know each other from the Kumu books and all of that. Also, you want to stay away from anybody that's not dealing with nationality, birthright, inheritance. You want to stay away from people that tell you that you have no spirit, no Godhead, no so-called you might want to stay away from religion because I don't really deal with that, but the ecclesiastical status of you as a perpetual ancient Muslim exists, whether they want to tell you that or not. That the prophet came and did what he did, the temples are there, you know what I mean? And we need to support them. The ones that's actually there working and helping with the people with their nationality, birthright, and inheritance. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody, though, has to be in the temple to be a Moor. The Prophet Noble Jew Ali did not create Moors. He was a Moor who came with the divine inspiration to put all the abstraction of what we were from the close of the empire and put it back in an ecclesiastical situation that we could go back into the empire through the divine and national movement. Some people believe that this is science fiction. Let them be, because I'm not out here to try to convince you. I'm just letting you know what I know. So again, holler at me at houseofel@hotmail.com if you'd like to get right. I'm not a genie. I am not. I'm not anything other than a man. I'm your brother. So I'm not trying to create a cult of personality. I'm not trying to create a movement. I'm a part of the movement. I am not the Sultan of the Moorish Science Temple of America. If any Moors is telling you that, they lying to you. I've never said that.
Stop the blood clot lying.
The only Sultan of the Moorish Science Temple of America to me is the divine prophet Noble Jew Ali. Period. You understand? Now, if you want to ask what I'm the Sultan of, that's something different. But again, that's in dealing with me on the private. And unlike the rest of these Moors, I don't blow my wad so everybody can come in and heckle it and try to find reasons why it's not working. Inshallah. So again, if anybody wants to holler at me, hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. Love to you, love and light to all of the ancestors. Peace and love to the sister. I don't want to say a name thing, but she lost a loved one, a son, right after he got his name corrected. So we want to bless that sister and send her love and light and honor her and him for the fact that he did not die as a slave. He did not die as a Negro. He died as a real Moor. We have to honor that. And we have to support sisters and brothers and children that are about having their own, being under their own vine and fig tree, having their own identity as Moorish Americans or whatever else identity you want. This is just what I settled on because this is what made the most sense and was most inclusive to the all and doesn't take away from, so long as you practicing the principles, love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality. So again, man, love and light to y'all. Thank you for holding us down. Thank you to the establishment that got us out here. They got a little overzealous with the food, but it was great. Thank you, my brother, for taping.